Now, in a move that could significantly reshape Nigeria's electoral calendar and reduce post-election disputes, the National Assembly on Monday this week proposed that the next presidential and governorship elections should take place in November of 2026. That's 6 months ahead of the traditional February to March schedule. The proposal contained in the draft amendments to the Electoral Act 2022 was unveiled during a one-day public hearing organized by the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters of the Senate and House of Representatives. The amendment sought to ensure that all election litigations were concluded before the swearing-in of newly elected leaders on May 29th of 2027. If adopted, the change would mark a historic shift in Nigeria's democratic timetable since 1999. Well, we're now being joined by promoter of the Nigerian Thought Project, Dr. Odiakpor Obire, to look at this National Assembly proposal in addition to defections in the political space. Good afternoon and many thanks for joining us here on Newsday.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Now, we do know the saying that timing is everything. What do you make of this shift in the timeline, or the proposed shift from the February 2027 timeline to November of 2026?
Well, it's a good development in one direction, and in another direction, I think those who are sponsoring this bill have a proper balance to which to ensure that Nigerians see that we have a more credible and acceptable election results. However, why it's a welcome development to bridge the gap between the electorate, those who are political actors, and also the INEC, to give it credibility in our electioneering process. It's a good one. But at the other hand, we must also take into consideration that time is something that is very crucial in all this process. And we've had in the past where from the process, from the party primaries to the main election and to post-elections, where matters drags from tribunals all the way to the Supreme Court in some cases, and this has caused a lot of setback in our election system. And also, I think politicians will also need to accept the process, so we can also cut short some of these issues that drags into making our system not transparent or not acceptable by the electorate and the general public. Then two, we need to also look at the 6 months, the proposed 6 months before the general election, before the swearing in of the next government. There's also some things we need to look at there, because in as much as it will make the election system more credible, more reliable, and more acceptable, it might also result to a lot of off-season elections. It might result to some off-season elections, because when you look at the 6 months that they are proposing, when you start the process election is conducted, well, then within 6 months, they expect those who are aggrieved to go to tribunal, to go to court, even up to Supreme Court, for them to finish whatever they need to do before the swearing in of the next administration.
Yes.
So if by the end of the 6 months and that election is nullified, then it will result to an off-season election, because there's going to be another election which this 6 months will not also accommodate. So those who are proposing it, they have a good intention, but they will also look at some of these things before it is passed to...
Yes. Dr. Obire, just for the sake of time, beyond this date change, what are, in your opinion, one or two crucial electoral reforms that need to be addressed by the National Assembly and conclude before the next round of elections in 2027 in order for the election cycle to be more credible than all the previous ones?
I think I can tentatively say that the last election was somewhat credible and free. It was fair. Though politicians will always tell you that, you know, when you don't win, you try to castigate the system. But you should also know that the same system you are castigating, the same INEC, is the one who also give your party or yourself the votes that you have. So when you win, INEC is good. When you don't win, INEC, the process is bad. So the politicians need to understand and do the right thing when the process starts, and also accept the outcome of the process, because it cannot go one way all the time. Some will win, some will lose. So those who lose should sit back, go back to the drawing board and wait for another election. Why those who win celebrate their wins? That's how it should be. The last election was credible, and we hope that the next election is going to be more transparent, more hitch-free, and more acceptable to Nigerians. That's the way I see it.
Well, saying the last election was credible is still relative. Some would beg to differ. But when you're talking about a shift in timeline, are we not providing a possibility for INEC to say that it was not prepared for this shift and that some things might go wrong if we move the timeline forward? What should be put in place to prevent that excuse from potentially coming up?
Well, I think this is just a proposal that is being put out there. It hasn't been amended or gazetted for operation. It's just a proposal, which I don't see the possibility of INEC adopting this to do general elections in November this year. So probably this is going to be for another election cycle.
Right.
But if this proposal is accepted at this time, INEC can as well work towards it to ensure that it happens by next year, November.
All right, and we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Odiakpor Obire, the promoter for the Nigerian Thought Project. Thanks for joining us on Newsday.